Hi everybody, how's it going out there? My name is Jamin Marshall, and these are my Wanderlust journals. Now, on this show, I talk to my friends in bands, travelers, artists that have very interesting stories to tell and experiences, very intriguing lives. And today, I'm speaking with Dagan from Murder by Death. He's their drummer, and he has been for about 13 years. He's done a lot of traveling with them, has very fun stories for you today. He just released on Bandcamp his album that he made during quarantine about the songs about his dog. The lead singer of Murder by Death also has 2 songs on there as well about his dog. The songs are about Frankie and RoboCop, and they also have some guest singers and musicians on there as well. So check that out. I will put that down in the description below on this video, a link to that Bandcamp. Also, a link to Murder by Death's crowdsourcing page for their new album. Check it out, everybody. I give to you my conversation with Dagan from Murder by Death. We will call this video Spicy Funkenstein. You're going to have to wait around and watch the whole video to find out why. Make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you dig what I'm doing here. Thank you so much, everybody, and rock on.
Good. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule of shooting music videos with your dog.
It's very busy today.
I'm sure, man. I mean, it's crazy how like you can make things to do for yourself and catch up on all the things around the house that you haven't done and whatnot, and then the days just go by. They fly by.
I know, they really do. It's also crazy how much easier it is to make stuff with technology than it was 5 years ago, even.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, even just 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We can do all of this stuff ourselves, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So did you set up like a little sound treated room that you're in, or I see your drum set behind you?
Yeah, so this is my basement room, and I just kind of turned it into my little studio here, so I can play the drums and record basic audio and video stuff. So I am planning to get more equipment at some point, but I just wanted to start with what I had and see what I could get going. So I've done a few of these so far, and they seem to be going pretty well. So I wanted to talk to all my friends and just have some conversations. It gives me a good excuse to see you all too and talk.
Yeah, totally. That makes a lot.
So yeah, that brings me to my first question. Really, is what have you been up to during this period of time? Like I knew a little bit about the project of the dog songs. Maybe you could tell me more about that.
Sure. I'm just grabbing some water. I've been spending probably, I don't know, a couple hours a day working on writing and recording songs, mostly punk rock songs about our dog, who is an almost 3-year-old miniature dachshund named Frankie. And there she is right there. And her little
out.
Yeah. It's nap time.
It's a rough life being an actor.
Yeah. Excuse me, about 2.5 years ago, Rosie started keeping notes in her phone about when Frankie would do something that we thought was funny. And we would sort of give it a name, and Rosie would record the name of the thing that she did. And we were like, let's make that into a song someday. And then everybody had to stay at home because of the pandemic. And we were like, I guess it's a good time to start making those songs.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. It's a perfect time.
Yeah. And I'm taking you out to my little home recording shed.
Yeah, I was curious about it. I don't think I ever saw it.
It's a shed that I built a few years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. It's a 10 by 12. And I soundproofed the walls and put a bunch of stuff on the door. And I've got this is like a sound blanket. Can you see?
Yeah.
It's sort of thick, and it's got material inside.
Oh yeah.
So like, there's the door, and it's got this. It basically looks like a sound baffling curtain.
Yeah.
The door.
Cool.
And this is my shed. There's my drum kit and
The Beat Factory.
Yeah, it's also storage and workshop.
That's good. Yeah, it's sound dampening.
Yeah, and there's this like vinyl stuff in the walls between the wallboards and the studs. Yeah, it's basically I've got like this old Behringer 12-channel mixer.
Oh yeah, I see.
And like my M box, you have that Focusrite. I have this M audio version of what you have. Same thing,
yep.
Basically. Yeah, and like the drums are mic'd up, and I just run like one channel out of the back of the mixer into the box.
Cool.
To record the drums. So like the drums are just like one.
You're doing all of it.
Yeah, it works. I'm recording. I've written and recorded all of the music, and there's 10 songs, and one is an instrumental. So I'm singing on 4 songs, and right, yeah, and then 4 of my friends are singing. One dude's doing 2 songs, the other 3 are doing 1 song each. So we've got 4 guest vocalists, and I'm covering the rest.
Anybody I know?
Yeah, Adam is doing a song. Remember about that singer? And David Fountain, our keyboard player, is
awesome.
Actually I heard his the rough mix from his tune last night for the first time, and he freaking killed it. So good.
That's so awesome, you guys. I can't wait to see the video and hear the songs.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be very fun.
Stoked when I heard that you were doing that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and the other dude who's singing, Rosie's brother Henry from SS Web, he did a song, and my really good friend Dave Parker, we were in a band called the Nickotones together forever ago.
Yeah.
He plays in a band called Johnny Mancap and the Distractions in LA now.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, anyway, we're still buddies, and he sang on 2 of the songs because he's got this incredible, like, bratty punk rock voice. It's just, he's got that perfect, like, teenage punk rock voice. You know, so
awesome.
It's cool. It's a fun project.
That's so cool. Yeah, I was going to ask you about your hobbies, but what are your other hobbies besides dog songs?
Just music and stuff. Man, I do a lot of stuff. I like projects. I like to build things. Work in the yard, ride a bicycle a lot, exercise. I read books, but I haven't been doing that lately because all of our books are in storage. Oh. Because we are selling our house and moving to a new house in Portland. But we put all of our stuff, a bunch of our stuff in storage a few months ago, preparing to put our house on the market, and which we haven't done because everything got strange. And but we're still doing it. And actually, our friend and ex-neighbor is he's gonna buy our house, so we don't need to show it, which is great, not to put it on the market.
Oh, good, man. That's good to hear.
Yeah, don't have to have strangers walking around in it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was wondering how that was going because of the situation in the world.
Yeah, I mean, we've been very fortunate to have our friend just wants to buy our house. Like, that's great. And he's actually serious, and he's going to make an offer on it probably like soon, like in a week or something like that.
Cool, man.
But yeah, hobbies. I like to build stuff. I like to ride a bike. I like to exercise.
Yeah.
Watch a lot of movies. Yeah, I stay busy.
What's the last book that you were reading, or do you have a recommendation?
What did I read last? I read a lot of sci-fi and like Stephen. Last book I read was Stephen King, The Dead Zone. That was the last book I read. Was it good?
I've never read that one.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was super great. I mean, I've never read a Stephen King book that I didn't like. He's fun. And this one it's actually particularly like prescient and relevant, which I wasn't expecting. There's this sort of like demagogue political, like power hungry political person in the book. I didn't expect. I thought it was just a book about a dude who could like tell how people were going to die. But it's so much more than that.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good. What about you? You been reading?
Yeah, I just finished up with the Gunslinger series of Stephen King. Yeah.
The whole thing?
Funny. Yeah. It took me about a year, honestly, because I've been working at that tire place, and I was like, get home, be really tired, but I want to read. My goal was to read every day of the year.
Yes.
And I did. But it was like, like a page maybe. So to get through that whole series, it took a while. It took about a year.
That's cool though, man. I've only read the first one and I loved it, and I want to read the whole series.
It gets better and better and more weird and
cool.
Fucked up as it goes. Yeah, it's good.
And listening on audiobook format to Andre Agassi's autobiography. And it's
cool.
Excellent. It's a very cool story, really interesting. It's actually the first audiobook I've ever done, and I've still got a lot to go. I think I'm like halfway through, but
I think I've started about a dozen of them and never really listened to the entire thing. Victoria's listening to the Alicia Keys book, which is fairly interesting. And I was overhearing some of it's pretty cool stuff behind the scenes, but that's total rock star, next level shit.
Yes.
But yeah, let's see, what else was I going to ask you about? Current projects. So yeah, that's covered. Do you remember? Yeah. I was going to ask you, do you remember the first concert you ever played? What was that like?
The first show ever, like as a teenager?
Yeah.
First one ever. I remember some shows from back then. I played a lot of shows. I started playing. I think I played my first show when I was like 15.
Yeah.
I definitely played. The first time I played in a bar, I was only 16, and the owner of the bar gave me a beer. I thought that was crazy.
Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana. Yeah, it was at a bar called Cats, and played a gig there. The dudes I was in the band with were older. They were all like 23 to like 27 or whatever, and I was just 15.
And you were playing the drums then?
15. Yeah. I started playing drums like right before I turned 15. Well, I mean, I got my first drum kit right before I turned 15, but I'd been playing on my friend's brother's drum set for a couple of years prior. I don't know, I was in a band for 3-4 years, from like 16 to like 19. And we played like a couple of the different coffee houses, like a lot, and a few bars. Played like a Memorial Day like biker barbecue thingy, and like up in the woods in Michigan one year.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was stuff like that. It was like we played like mostly cover songs, like radio songs and like classic rock tunes, and then we probably had 10 of our own songs, and we would try to pepper them in.
Yeah,
and it was fun, and we were like, I'm still very good friends with the bass player from that band. So go ahead. I don't know,
what was that? What was that called? Did you say?
Oh yeah, I didn't say it, but we were called Spicy Funkenstein.
Spicy Funkenstein?
Yep.
That's excellent.
Yeah. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Do you have any old memorabilia from the Spicy Funkenstein days?
You know, I have like a drawing. The bass player from that band, Jason, he's a tattoo artist, and he has been for years and years. But he's always been, a visual artist, and he drew this like cartoonish portrait of the band, with like the name of the band, sort of stylized. And I have that in a folder in storage. Yeah, cool. Like I've got a couple of things.
That's so cool.
It's pretty fun.
What were were you in other bands after that, and then
after Spicy?
Before MDD? Yeah. Where'd you go straight there?
Straight from Spicy to NVD. No, I mean, I did Spicy Funkenstein like while I was in high school, and then and got out of high school and didn't play any other bands. And I grew up in Mishawaka, Indiana. It's like up in northern Indiana by South Bend, like where Notre Dame University is located and stuff. And I didn't do bands after high school. I still I rented a little house, and I went to college for a year for percussion performance. So I continued to play the drums and learn music and stuff, but I wasn't in any rock bands then. And then, so I went to college just for a year, then I stopped because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I was living in this little house by myself, renting it, and I was working at a lumberyard. And the house was tiny. It was like a 580 square foot house. And it was teeny tiny. And I had a friend who was away at college at Indiana University down in Bloomington. And he made a friend down there named Joe. And they both play guitar. And they were like writing songs together in the dorms. And they came back to South Bend for the summer and came to my house. And we started jamming their like very silly punk songs. And our other friend Aaron decided to be the singer, and so he started writing lyrics. And like we had a little cassette 4-track, and we were making demos. And then they went back to college after the summer was over. And then so that would have been like August of like 1999, and I was 20, and then like right around New Year's Eve of 1999, I moved down to Bloomington to continue playing with those dudes because it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I really played punk rock. So I really loved it. And it was, it was an excuse to like move somewhere away from my hometown and go be in a town full of young people and call, Bloomington's a college town, like all the way, very classic American Midwest college town. So I moved down there to play with those dudes. And, we had our little like joke punk band for, I don't know, like a year or less. And, but just moving to Bloomington and sort of the music scene was so revelatory there compared to where I grew up. Like there's all these young creative students just making art all the time and like throwing shows and cool school or faculty building basements or like art spaces or whatever. And that's when it really kicked off. That's when I really started, like, from that point on, like I was constantly, also as a drummer, like everybody needs a drummer.
Yeah.
Like at least that's the way it was then.
I think it's still that way.
Probably still that way. Yeah.
There's never enough of us.
I know. And usually the drummer has the house where you can practice.
Yeah.
Because you can be loud there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was me. And like I even like before I moved down there, I bought a van. I bought like a full size like Chevy van, and because I was like, I want to go on tour. It's like the only thing I want to do in the whole world. So I'll buy a van. I'll have the house where we can have band practice. Like I'm ready.
You were the party facilitator.
Pretty much, yeah. And always very focused on. Like, I don't think I'm special in this. I think people who do what you've done and what I've done, like in music, like you really focus for a long time. By like, you've got to work. I never went to college again. Like I went to that 1 year up in South Bend, but like I lived in Bloomington, but I wasn't a student, which is kind of uncommon to be, 21 years old and live in Bloomington and not go to college there.
Yeah.
But, so I just worked in bars and went to shows and played as many shows in as many bands as I could for forever. From like 2000, I was probably in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands, 6 bands, up like 2000 through like 2006, and that's when I joined NBD in early 2007, and I've just been doing that for the last 13 years.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You found the right group.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. Just the fact that Murder by Death has been at it for so long is like, because the band is like 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. That's for sure.
No, it's not. Thankfully, everybody's, especially at this point and the age that we all are at, everybody's sensible and level-headed, and we all get along. We know how to get along.
Yeah.
You know, and like boundaries are, we know boundaries and stuff.
Right.
It's become like a real pleasure. Not that I have ever not. Well, it's not true. Sometimes I have not enjoyed it, because how are you going to enjoy everything about something all the time for 13 years? But
that's impossible.
But my point is, it's become a great joy, and the relationships are really strong with us.
Well, you can tell it vibrates like when Victoria and I, luckily we had the pleasure of seeing you quite a few times before this lockdown in the last year. And yeah, seeing you guys, hanging out with all of you, and also on stage, it's obvious that it is real pleasure. Yeah, for sure.
I remember being on tour when I was in the band The Nickotones with my buddy Dave, who I mentioned earlier, who sang on a couple of my dog songs, and that was the first band that I ever toured in. And we didn't tour a bunch. We toured as much as we could because we all had to work. And we were broke, early 20s kids. I think I was like 24 when I went on my first tour, which a lot later than a lot of my friends who've been touring. A lot of them started when they were like 17 or 18. Especially like California dudes, like San Diego dudes and stuff. Like those guys just started touring when they were children.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just wild. I was talking to Adam Willard, that drummer. He plays against me, and he's played for every band. He was like Rocket from the Crypt founding member and stuff. Like, and that dude started touring when he was 17 years old, and he's still doing it. And he's like 50.
Yeah.
It's wild. Anyway, that defining moment thing was I was on the tour with the Nickotones, and like I don't know if that is when. I think that I can't really like pinpoint, but I remember having a conversation with Dave. We were in North Carolina, and we were playing in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Milestone. You fucking played there.
Mm-hmm.
You know that club?
Yeah, I believe so.
It's like just a plywood box with the walls are covered with like band logos and stickers, and like every band's played there when they were like babies. Like Nirvana played there before anybody knew who they were, and like no effects and shit. But
yeah,
the Milestone.
Did it have a different name? Did it used to be called something else, or is it
always been the Milestone? Okay. Sometimes they call it like the world famous Milestone.
Yeah.
And it was a real shitbox. But I think we played there probably 4 times over the course of 2 years, on a few different tours. But like, I was hanging out with Dave at the merch table, and we were watching the band that played after us. This band that they were called Thunderlit, and they were just incredibly like awesome, blazing guitar rock band. And we were having the best time. And Dave like asked me like if I was tired or something, or maybe like the bass player and the other guitar player from our band were like tired and getting cranky about being on tour, and we were just talking about them. And I just remember telling Dave like I want to do this for the rest of my life. Like this is I've made for this. And he was like, yeah, I think you're right. And I remember that conversation. For some reason, that conversation from like 2004 is still in my head, or at least the gist of it is still there.
Yeah.
Just sort of like, just I don't know, kind of understanding, and just like, oh yeah, this is all I want to do. All I ever want to do is like be playing music with my friends and being on tour. And it's not the case anymore. I don't always want to be on tour anymore. But
right. I remember that emotion. I remember feeling that way too.
Yeah, just like never ever end, please.
Fuck it, let's get in the van. And then it got to a point where it's self-reliant. So you're like you're touring all the time, and then you have to tour all the time because you don't have a house, or
yeah,
you also like eat better, and everything when you're on tour.
You have to stay on the road to sustain your career, and like you're not making a lot of money, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that. I remember Nicotons. We were going hard for about 2 years with that band. They had been a band for a few years before I joined, but we really picked up steam after I joined the band. We like made an EP that was well received, and we had a van, and
Very important part.
got together and we really went as hard as we could. I remember like the second year we were in that band, we played 70 shows that year, which is like pretty good for four dudes who like are booking all their own tours and shows and like working full time. And like that was my first real experience into like, eating bologna sandwiches in the van.
Yeah.
I remember we would like keep a cooler full of like pouches of tuna and bologna and cheese, and whoever was driving could just like say like sandwich please, and like someone would have to make them a sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah, we did the same thing for sure.
Yeah, sure.
To some extent. Yeah.
It's wild, dude. And like these days it's like obviously, we were supposed to be in Europe right now.
Right.
Yeah, and like a couple of days ago we were supposed to be playing Shaky Knees Festival in Atlanta. And like the Strokes were the headliner that night. I was excited to see the Strokes, man. I love that band.
Yeah, their new album is really, really good too.
Cool. I need to get it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So
it's a bummer.
It's a bummer. And we've got like Make Updates book that will probably get postponed again, and eventually we'll get back at it. And like honestly, I think like when touring starts happening again, the audience is going to be so enthusiastic and hungry for it. We're going to probably have the biggest shows of our career coming out of this.
I can imagine so. I mean, when it gets taken away from you, then you really realize how much you value it. I think that goes for a lot of things, but with live music, with seeing shows, I know that I am already like, damn, you take it for granted when, especially living near a big city like Denver and having so many people play all the time, and you're just like, I'm too tired to go to the show tonight. And then this happens, you're like, I'm never going to be too tired again. I'm going to take advantage of it. It's funny how touring goes like that, where you're like, when you're in your 20s, you could, if you stayed in your 20s for the rest of your life, you could do that for the rest of your life. But things change as you get a little bit older.
True.
The van feels smaller after a while.
Sure does.
But those tours, like when I said that I really respect you as a drummer and musician, as a friend, and your art and what you do on stage is so fucking cool. And I always, I try to divide my attention amongst the band, because I have been a straight up, like a really big fan of Murder by Death for many years. Yeah. And when I watch you guys, I try to watch the other players, but it's mostly I'm watching.
I'm a drummer watcher too, man.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just kind of.
Yeah,
that's the most stimulating thing to look at on stage.
It makes sense. It's what we do, so we want to see how the other guy does it, and it's so cool watching your fills and everything. It's fucking awesome. So
that's cool. Thanks, man.
And maybe someday I'll be able to watch you guys play again.
It'll happen. I was just thinking about wondering who are your favorite drummers to watch play? Like, you've toured with so many friggin' bands. Like,
pro drummers, like, are, especially in some bigger bands, they have a certain type. And for me, it's like I guess I've never really fit in to that category. I'm not quite as dialed in. I'm a little bit more all over the place. You have a very good regimented way that you practice, warm up and all of that, and I used to just jump up and down, do some push-ups, and slam some whiskey, and that was it. But the drummer of Dropkick, Murphy's always really impressed me. He was super fucking tight and spot on, you know, and he's really good. Josh Freese and also Bill Stevenson.
From the Descendants.
From the Descendants was really awesome live.
He's got the tightest rolls. His like snare rolls are so tight.
And the left-handed, just one-handed snare roll that he can do.
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty impressive. What about you?
I love to watch. There's a drummer named Chris Metcalf. He plays for the Life and Times. Is his band. And they're a Chicago sort of like space, like beautiful, heavy space rock band. That are one of my favorites. And Chris is probably 5'6", 5'5", and probably like 130 pounds. And has a pair of glasses that he like will be in the middle of just ripping this like insane drum fill or just like the heaviest drum beat, and like will like push his glasses up like in the middle of a fill. It's just like you watch him do it. He's just like ripping this crazy beat, and as he's going across the toms, like his hand will like dart up and push his glasses back onto his face.
I love that sort of shit. Style
drummer.
Points.
Yeah, totally. And he's a sick drummer. He plays like, I think it's an old Rogers kit. It's like a big 24-inch kick and like maybe like a 14 rack and like an 18 floors, I want to say. They're pretty big drums and really big. All of his crashes are ride cymbals. He's got big drums and he's a little dude and he just like dominates the drums. He's got crazy chops and just like really good feel and really writes really tasteful parts. He's just a monster. I like watching him play.
Cool. Yeah, I got to check them out. This is another reason why it's so cool to catch up with everybody like this, because I get new books and albums to listen to. Good suggestions.
Anything the Life and Times have done is just great. And that dude, this guy named Alan Epley he's the singer and like the main songwriter for that. It's like his band, you know. And before that, he had a band called Shiner, out of Kansas City, and another one of my favorite bands. And they're actually a band again. They have a new record that's coming out. But they're the drummer for Shiner, this dude named Jason Gerken, he's just world class. Like a lot of people don't know who he is. A few people know about him, but he's just like he's impossibly good. Like cool, just a monster. So yeah, Jason and Chris are two of my favorite drummers to watch. God, who else is awesome? This is one dude named Chris Haney. Chris Haney, the drummer for Maps and Atlases.
Okay.
That dude is very fun to watch. Good call, Rosie. Just was like, hey. Yeah. He's great. He's really precise, and he writes really cool parts. Hey, Kat.
Hello, Kitty.
There's Crash and Rosie.
He just needs.
Crash. Hi, Rosie. Hello again.
I'm trying to keep it a little quiet to not interrupt.
Oh, I like it. It's good background. Oh yeah, what was I going to say? What do you have a favorite song to play live with MBD?
Favorite song to play live. Favorite, or we have 90 songs. It's hard to say.
Yeah, right. I know favorites are always a tricky one.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy playing the song "Coming Home." This is a fun. Just that beat is a fun beat to play. It's like, just very not standard drum beat. So, but it's also like not complicated, and you get to hit really hard.
Yeah,
just da, 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 da. I dig that one. Off our new record, that song "Space," super fun. Even though it's just 5 minutes of just like, I think it's like 85 BPM, just pa, pa, for like 5 minutes. But like the rest of the song everybody else is doing such cool parts that I can really just listen to the song and just sort of fall into the groove,
Those are definitely. It's funny you mentioned those two, because those are two of my favorites for sure. They stand out among everything to me. it's just so fun to listen to. So
Mm-hmm.
and some subject matter that I can wrap my head around because I'm pretty spaced out. So that one. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you what's the sketchiest show that you can remember? Because I know that, you know, whenever we touring bands get together, they talk about the best and the worst and the, you know, the scariest and the most fucked up thing. I didn't want to dwell completely on that, but
it's
does
right.
one pop out?
Yeah, let me see if I can like organize the details in my head. It was we were in, I want to say like Charleston, South Carolina. I think it was like this venue. I'm pretty sure it's called the Oasis. It was either in Charleston or Columbia, and it was a shitty club. And like we got there and like loaded in, and we had our own sound guy with us at that time. James Dean was our sound guy, and we get in there and like we load in, and the place is like, it's filthy. It's like a filthy rock bar, and like nothing is wired, like nothing like the soundboard or the stage or anything, and so James has to completely rewire the stage, and the house sound guy, who, like, you know, his job is to assist the touring sound guy, like, he is not helping James. Rather, he's sitting in the sound booth with his girlfriend on his lap eating pizza while James is doing all of this like emergency wiring to try to get, because, you know, it's doors in like 2 hours or whatever, and like try to get a sound check and stuff. And so eventually James actually like told the house sound guy to leave. He said, "You need to leave. Go home.
Get out of the way.
Like, we're not paying for you. Like, just go home. You're not doing anything. Leave." And so that dude left, and the show happened, and like we're playing, and the crowd was really rowdy, and they were like stage diving and stuff, and like, you know, like, we're not really a kind of a band. I mean, sometimes. And back then, our crowd was younger and drunker, and like that kind of stuff would happen occasionally. But then, so the crowd was crazy and throwing beer at us and like fucking stage diving and stuff like that. And then like we hear that the sound guy who got kicked out is out in the parking lot, like with a few of his friends, waiting to like kick James's ass after the show. And then like the cops came during the end of our, like, we had like 2 songs to go, and the cops came because of a noise complaint, and they told us to shut down the show. And Adam shouted something extremely profane about the cops over the PA, and then we finished our set. He's like, "Fuck you, motherfuckers! Come in here and make a stop, whatever." Just, you know, talk some shit. He was fired up. Everybody was fired up, and like, and we played our show, and nobody got arrested, thankfully. And like the dude, when his friends who were going, I guess when the cops showed up to shut the show down, the dude who was waiting to kick our sound guy's ass left. That wasn't particularly sketchy. It was one of those nights when like everything went wrong.
Shit show.
Yeah, but like sketchy, like dangerous. Like I don't know. Yeah. I don't really like with NBD. Nah. Nothing that bad. Just some weird shit. Like we did a thing in Chemnitz, Germany, where like this like fire dance crew like choreographed these dance sequences to like 4 of our songs, and it was at this festival on an island, and they gave us like, they invited us out to do this idea. And weeks in advance, we said, "Okay, well, what songs do you want us to have ready so you can work on them?" And they finally, like, they gave a list of like 4 songs, like the day before we flew to Germany. And one of them was a song that we hadn't played ever. like as a 4-piece band at that point. It was a song that was really old one, like the Man Piano Player. It's their like 9-minute long instrumental called "Those Who Left" off the first record. That was one of the songs. The dancers were like, "You need to play this song." Like, we wrote a dance to it. Like, you need to learn it. And we were like, so we get to Germany, and flying to Frankfurt, and our van with all of our backline and driver picks us up, and we drive whatever 3 hours to Chemnitz, and it's at this big like vegan anarchist art collective compound. And there's a bunch of like young German people with dreadlocks and stuff, and making art. And they have a stage, and we meet the dancers, and we immediately have to rehearse because we've just flown like internationally overnight or whatever. But that's all the time we have. So we land, get in the van, drive 3 hours, immediately set up, and have like a 6-hour rehearsal with these dancers. And the thing is, they were like they had the songs of ours they wanted to dance to, but we get there and they're like, cool, so this one, just stretch it out, make it about 7 minutes long. like Ball and Chain was one of the songs, and that's like one of our like short, sort of snappy, just like rock tune, And they were like, we want to dance to this one, but we need it to be 4 minutes longer. And we're like, huh? Like we don't jam, we're not a jam band. We write songs and we play our songs, And they basically did that for 3 of the, because one of the songs is already 9 minutes long, so we had to like write an arrangement of Those Who Left with guitar, bass, drums, and cello. So which we did. We whatever, eked it out, and we had to convert 4 of our songs to like fit their needs at the very like the day before the show. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then like the next day, we played the show in this park, this beautiful park in Germany, and it was really good. Like we did the 4 songs, and then like they did their fire dance and like acrobat routine, and then we played a regular set, and it was great. Then we got drunk, and it was fun.
Yeah, as you do. What did I ask you? What your favorite country is to play? Or I mean, do you have like a probably maybe not a favorite, but one that stands out a little bit?
Sure. I mean, Germany has always been consistently the best shows that we have in Europe. Same with you, would you say?
Between Holland and Germany, yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Some in Italy were really fucking cool and out of the blue.
Wow, that's surprising. We never had anything really big in Italy.
They weren't necessarily big, but they were like up in the mountains, northern Italy, and they would be like you'd get there, load in. It would say load in at 6, sound check at 7:30, and then so we get there at maybe 5 or 4, and nobody's there until about 9:30.
Yeah.
Then they feed you, and then don't worry about it. Just set up slowly, and then a sound check right before the show, and then it's empty until about 11, and then 250 people come out of nowhere. That was cool. Yeah,
that's cool. I love outdoor. We've done a few very cool outdoor like festivals in the mountains, like up in the Swiss Alps and stuff like that. Like it's really awesome.
Yeah, those ones are good. Those ones stand out to me too.
Sure.
But yeah, so I do this thing on here called I Call Bullshit. So I'm gonna make let's see, I have 4 statements, and they're like facts, if you will, but one of them is just complete bullshit, and it's up to you to call it out. So I'll make all 4 statements, and then you can think about it and talk to Rosie about it if you want, and then pick one.
Sure. I'm grabbing pen and paper so I can make notes so I don't forget what you're telling me.
It won't be. This one's not too lengthy, but okay. So, are you ready?
I've got my composition book that I've been writing my dog song lyrics in right here.
Okay, good. I'm so stoked for that. That's gonna be fun.
The kitchen table has been like like I do the drums out in the shed, and then I bring the box and the tablet into the kitchen and sit at the table and like put in headphones and just like do the guitar and the bass, and then go back out to the shed and sing the vocals.
Awesome.
And straight up just singing into the microphone on the iPad, and it sounds good.
Wow.
It sounds fun. Yeah, it's like super easy. And like Dave, like my friends who are singing on it, like Dave down in LA, he just took his iPad out into his car in the parking garage and sat in his car and recorded his vocals on the iPad mic, and it sounds great. It's easier. It's easier than I expected.
Just the mic in the iPad?
Yeah, dude. You just use the iPad and mic.
Yelling into the.
Yeah, it's got a fairly decent condenser mic on it, and you just turn the fader down in the software so you don't clip or whatever. You give yourself headroom, and you just sing, and it sounds fine. All right. Anyway, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Number 1, scientists have recently discovered a dinosaur that could shoot acid from its mouth.
Okay, acid dinosaur.
Acid dinosaur could be number 1. Number 2, octopuses have 3 hearts. That's all I have for that one.
Okay.
Number 3, sloths can actually hold their breath longer than dolphins can. And number 4, the big one, Fruit Loops are all the same flavor. So, think it over. Talk it through if you need to. I'll be right here. I don't have a prize for you. I'm sorry.
I don't need a prize. Rosie went to she's at the shop or something. I don't know. She's not here. So I'm on my own.
Okay. All right.
No. So acid dinosaur. At first, I thought that's
a good band name.
Yeah, it's not bad. I immediately thought of that dinosaur in Jurassic Park spitting in Newman's face.
Yeah.
You remember? Like,
oh yeah.
Octopus having 3 hearts. Sloths can hold breath longer than dolphins. I think Fruit Loops are all the same flavor.
I never thought about it till today.
I'm going to say that a sloth cannot hold its breath for longer than a dolphin. I call bullshit number 3.
Okay, let's see here. Wrong. The dinosaur is the bullshit one I made up.
Oh, it is from Jurassic. Fuck, I should have just always go with the first thing that I think. Yeah?
Well, it was a close one because it's not exactly acid that it could shoot something, but at first I was going to say fire, but yeah, the acid shooting out of its mouth is not historically factual as far as I know yet. Sloths can actually lower their heart rate way down.
Oh, nice.
They can hold their breath for like 40 minutes or so, and dolphins have to take about 10-minute breaks.
That makes it. Sloths are like Zen masters.
Totally. Yeah, they're already moving really slow.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so there you go. I call bullshit. That's the game show. So I've been trying to make it more random, and I think it's working. I was going to stick with music, but it's like, well, that's not really any fun because musicians know music, so we got to make it weird.
I love that banner behind you. The Flask one.
The Flask one?
Was that like your show banner for tour?
Yeah, I made that. Victoria helped me paint it and fill it in, but this design was done by Megan McGinnis, and then I had a little cheap projector, and I pushed it up to the computer and put it up on the wall, and yeah, we used that on the last European tour, and then the U.S. tour that we did.
Cool, dig it. What size is it?
I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't have proper. I didn't really measure it out per se. I think it's 8. It's like 8 wide and like 4 long, I believe. Maybe it's 9 wide. So it's kind of odd, but it did the trick. And then I put the grommets in it and stuff.
Dig it.
Yeah, and then I got a lot of the posters that we play of shows that we played together. It's kind of hard for you to see.
I can see it. Yeah, I see a Stanley poster up there.
Yeah, I got you guys to sign that one. And then I also don't have them on the wall, but I have been systematically kidnapping any leftover set list that I found in your green room after everybody goes to the stage. So that's part of my collection.
Get your swag.
Yeah, somewhere around here. Yep, exactly.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, dude. Well, this has been really fun, man. I'll let you go because I don't want to take up all your time, and I know you need to get back to your music video.
No, it's good to see you, Dan.
Yeah.
Thanks for
really good to see you too. Yeah, and thanks for talking to me. And absolutely a pleasure as always. And so I'll let you go and have a fantastic day. All right, bye guys.
Bye.